it's absolutely vital to have goals. It's vital to set goals, and it's vital to sort of set metrics around them, because I feel like if you don't, a goal without sort of time management around it is just a dream, right? So you've got to set all of these things in motion to make sure that they come to life.
Yeah. Hey guys, Ash and Justin back on the WeRise couch. Today we're going to talk through goal setting and a couple of different frameworks that we've used throughout the years. But first I'd ask if you could like, share and subscribe and help us spread the word. Now Just, I know you're quite passionate and geek out a bit on some of these theories. The two frameworks that we will talk about, they sort of blend in quite nicely to each other. So I'll shoot you to start.
Yeah, brilliant, thanks. And I do geek out to it because I think, it's absolutely vital to have goals. It's vital to set goals, and it's vital to sort of set metrics around them, because I feel like if you don't, a goal without sort of time management around it is just a dream, right? So you've got to set all of these things in motion to make sure that they come to life.
Yeah.
I personally have used SOSTAC over the years, something that I think was probably originally developed for marketing plans. But the way that I see it actually really sort of lends itself to personal goal setting, organizational goal setting as well. So S, situation, where are we now? It's a real deep dive into the situation, where you're at, get as many data points as you can. And I know some people refer to SWOT as a significant waste of time, but I really believe that SWOT is a great one. What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? What are the chinks in our armor? And what are the opportunities and threats in the market? So I think situation, is vital, and that you shouldn't be afraid to really submerge yourself in that situational analysis, whether it's me or you setting goals for, like, you for the swim, for example, or me with some of my, my own personal training type stuff. Really look at, where am I now, before you start looking at what your objective is, which is the next piece, which is objective. So where do we want to be? And I'm going to use this swim as an example.
Sure.
That, you've got a timeline, that you want to set a world record or a world first. So you've got to have that objective set up ahead in the distance. And when you've got that objective, you can then start to look at what your strategies are to get to where you need to be. And, those strategies can be really big sort of ticket items, like getting in the pool, broad ideas and broad milestones that you've got to set yourself. So that's situation, objective, and strategy. But then, and this is going to come into a little bit about what you talk about, which I really love with the SMART goal setting piece. But once you've got your strategy lined up, you start to break it down into tactics. So those smaller steps. When you set big objectives, what do they say? Think big, start small.
Yeah.
So it's all those tiny little incremental changes that you make on a day-to-day basis, getting through that to-do list, signing things off on, and holding yourself accountable. So breaking things down into these little tactics that are achievable per day. And look, I won't go into it too much, but I think actions then are some of those smaller pieces. You and I do actions really well, I have to say, because we have these daily check-ins. We hold each other accountable and we keep each other engaged.
Yeah.
Okay, that's easy because we can push and pull each other across the line. And sometimes that's where most team plans or individual plans fall apart, is because there's no motivation there.
Yeah, sure.
But I think you have to have those check-ins. I won't go too much into controls now, because I think we'll probably talk about it a bit more in some of the stuff that you're talking about. But that's what I love, SOSTAC. Where am I now? Where do I need to be? And how are we going to get there?
Nice. And mine, I think, is what I'm going to talk about, being the SMART goal framework. Really fits in nicely to that SOSTAC. And I think as we talk it through, there'll be those clear sort of examples of how one will talk to the other, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So if we talk about SMART as an acronym, we're talking about specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Now, what does that look like? Specific. It needs to be a well-defined goal. You can't just say, if we were to use our business as an example, and specifically through our videos and YouTube sessions, we can't just say, I would like to grow our network. It's just not specific enough.
Yeah.
We could revisit that in 2 weeks or 2 years' time, and you could have grown it by 3 or 4 followers and said, tick, we achieved it. But that's not really what we want to do. So to be specific, you would say, I want to have 10,000 followers. That's very specific. There's a round number there that you get there or you don't. So it's very, very specific. Measurable, like I mentioned, 10,000. There's a metric there that we can say, yes, we got to 10,000, or we got to 900 or 1,000 or 20,000. So it's a yes or a no. So you're sort of looking at the box, you go down, tick, tick, we've ticked off 2 of them. Attainable. Is 10,000 followers realistic for us? Probably not at this stage, but maybe in 12 months' time, in 2 years' time, in 5 years' time, that may be a very attainable goal.
Yeah.
And probably a likely goal, we would like to say, as we continue to build this business, it will be very, very attainable. It also gives you the time, the resources, the knowledge, and your budget. Is it attainable when you consider all those different things? Yes, we both have income, so we do have the budget. We have the time. I would argue that yes, we have the resources. We may not be cutting edge, but we definitely have the resources available to us. And the knowledge that we've groomed through our nearly 90 odd years on this earth that is a resource, but it's also a knowledge.
Yeah.
So arguably it's a very attainable goal. Is it relevant? Yes. We want to continue this business. It's relevant to our overall mission of creating a successful network and business. We want to be able to make that a profitable business. So yes, it's very, very relevant to our situation. And is it time bound? Well, what is time bound? Yes. Are we going to say we want 10,000 followers in a week's time? It's not going to happen. It's just not. It's so out there. So time bound. Okay, let's say we make that goal for 2 years' time. We revisit it 2 years' time. Did we achieve it? Boom. We've got 10,001 followers. There's your last tick. Our SMART goal, we've achieved it. Yeah,
I love it. And I think hearing you say that, I know that we've done a lot of SMART goal setting ourselves. And it strikes me, like I'm really good at this situation stuff and this objective. You're really good at keeping us grounded in the reality of what we need to do. And I think that's vital, right? So I'll talk about, all right, here's the situation. And wouldn't it be nice if we were to do this? And all that lovely, creative big picture thinking. Yeah. But I love how you always try and bring it down to, Justin, is it smart? And to put some of that, it's not trying to tear something down. It's to try and give it that attainable sense. I'd go and say, we need, 500,000 followers and be the next Mr. Beast and, take over the world. But if you're not being realistic, it can actually be very counterproductive.
Yeah, that's right. And also it chips away at your motivation. If you set something and say we want 500,000 followers and we want to be pulling in millions of dollars a year, when you're not, you're like, we're going nowhere. Yeah. We might have hit that 1,000 or 5,000 followers, which is a huge step forward. But it's not that we're not up in the sky. We need to sort of bring it back. And you make a good point. I like to look at a grand goal, and it might be the 500,000 followers that we look at in 5 years' time. But let's step that back. That's a macro goal. So what are our sort of meso goals and micro goals in that time? So sort of breaking that main goal down and stepping back and down to allow you to move up and keep that motivation going. And each time you achieve one, we get to give each other a high five and say, good job, we're making progress.
So there's 2 really, really important things there that I love. And I'm thinking that as we're talking, maybe we kind of design something on Canva and we stick it over the top of this video, looking at SOSTAC and how that relates into SMART, right? But you're right. Celebrate the wins. And so for me, I think daily stand-ups, bringing a bit of Scrum and Agile methodology into this. I know you think that sounds like I'm, talking like a rugger bugger, but I think, if you're having daily stand-ups, if you're having these check-ins to say, hey, how are we going against that? Have you done this thing? It keeps each other honest. Right, so you said you're going to do that yesterday. Did you do it? And these stand-ups, they don't need to be that long. No. You can do them with yourself. Like you can kind of literally just stand up and say, right, have I gotten through my to-do list properly? And if I haven't, then I need to go back there. But celebrating wins is a really important cultural behavior to instill, because if you're giving yourself a thumbs up, if teams give themselves a high five, then you feel like you're in this upward cycle. I've been in teams where we've achieved massive things and we've moved on to the next thing without celebrating it. And for some people, that's not okay.
And it's really easy to do in sort of today's society. Yet everyone's so busy and, all right, we've achieved one, what's the next one, the next one, the next one. And you never get a time to go, man, we're actually making a dent here. We're doing a really good job.
Yeah.
And it motivates and it brings your team together to say, right, let's really rip into that next one.
Absolutely, yeah. And so, yeah, look, I think taking that little bit of time out is a really vital step. I'm just going to say, I'm going to put it out there to everybody. I think goal setting, I know I said it at the beginning of the video and I'm going to top and tail it here. I think it's vital. I think you need it in all aspects of your life. I think you need it in your personal life, and I think you need it in your professional life as well. I'd love to challenge people to kind of come along on the journey and share what their goals are, and how they've gone about achieving them, and also where they've fallen down in the past and what kind of stops people from achieving their goals.
Mate, I love that thought. And as you were saying it, I was already sort of thinking about the accountability piece. It's all well and good to say a goal in your head. No one ever hears about that. No one ever cares or knows whether you pass or fail or achieve or not. Only you will know that. So a good way to motivate you to get through these goals is to say, right, here's my goal. I'm going to write it down. And if you look in a business or a sporting, go to your manager or go to your coach and write them down and say, here's my goals for the next 6 months or 12 months. And they will then be able to say, all right, well, I can sort of hold you to that or assist you with that. And it will improve that accountability piece.
Yeah, totally agree. And share your wins with us as well.
Yeah,
I mean, if there's nobody that is kind of in that sphere that can help you, then our page is designed specifically for that, to share wins and to bring people along on this collective journey. So
yeah, it's the community that we're building.
Yeah.
I guess on a final note, look at goal setting. It can be a bit of a time burden, and a lot of people sort of roll their eyes when you mention it. But it will be the thing that gives you a competitive advantage in your sphere that you are working in, whether it's sporting, personal, professional, it doesn't matter. That will be your professional advantage.
Yeah. So many people spin the wheels, right? And they're working because they have to, or they're not putting thought into anything. They're not strategizing.
Yeah.
And strategy is vital. So yeah, totally agree. It is a competitive edge that you can give yourself very easily with a little bit of effort. So
amazing.
Cool.
Thanks, guys. Again, I like to ask, like, share, and subscribe. Push this out to your networks, and let's build a bigger and better world.
Excellent.